ho, ho. When the levee breaks, we got no place to go. Anyway, this is Random Precision. Going to talk about the random precision-ish of my collection. Now, when last we met 2 days ago, I talked a little bit about me being a goal-oriented person in a set collecting world with so many sets to collect, so much unfinished business that doesn't quite jibe with the typical way I do things or how I live my life. I like to finish projects, move on to the next one, solve problems, all that fun stuff. But my collection doesn't allow that because I've chosen to be a set completionist. And of course, that again leads to a lot of loose loose ends, a lot of laundry in the wind, as they'd say out there in Nebraska, maybe. Uh, so where am I at right now? End of 2023 with my collection. I kind of got this idea from a man named Dean Gerhardt. He a while back, may have been this year, may have been last year, went through his sets and told us, the public, what percentage of completion he was for various sets. And then I saw something pop up on Twitter lately, which was just as cool, kind of along the same vibe. But I'm giving attribution to Dean out there for me following through on an idea that he seeded, he planted in my mind. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen out there on the YouTube and go year by year, uh, 1951 through 1980, which is the end of the vintage era. I'll fight you on that. And we'll talk about baseball. We'll do the main sets here. There will be a couple oddball things in there, such as some Fleer sets and the early Bowman stuff as well for baseball. Football, I'm going to do that as well. And that'll start at 54 with the 54 Bowman set. And then we'll talk a little bit about football and how crazy it was in the 60s, as if you were a collector or if you are a collector now working on those sets. Hockey's pretty straightforward. I'm only going to go from 71 to 1980 just because. And I may have some wrong data there. In basketball, we'll talk about 69 through 80 as well. Now, we know basketball, man, talk about an identity crisis back in the day. Basketball had some issues for sure, trying to get some legs underneath the collecting or get those cards in the kids' hands, which was very difficult back then in the 60s for sure. So let's get to the screen here. I made a fancy spreadsheet, which means nothing to anybody other than myself, but we're going to kind of go through that right now. So let's talk about 1951. Now, we can say that 1951 was owned by Bowman back then because Topps put out their redbacks and their bluebacks, not really quite a big set. So I have one out of the 104 red/bluebacks, which puts me at less than 1%, obviously, of those two sets that we combined into one. 252 card sets, I believe. Bowman, I have 15 out of 324 cards, 4.63%. Now, my Bowman, I'm a little late to the game with Bowman. I have some really nice Bowman cards from 1950. But I kind of was late to the game there. I didn't believe in Bowman when I was growing up, other than the 50 Jackie Robinson and the Richie Burton rookie. I still playing catch up there. I have some nice Bowman cards, but it's still obviously work in progress. 1952, the most iconic set probably in the sport of collecting, the 52 Topps, a game changer, design, volume, truly legendary and very expensive. I'm at looks to me like I'm at 83 out of 407 cards there. So that puts me at 23%, or I'm sorry, 20.39% there. Over there in the Bowman world, 22 out of 252 cards, 8.73%. 53 Topps, one of my favorite Topps sets of all time. Probably my favorite, I should say. I have 245 out of 274 cards for an 89.42% completion percentage. I've got a few big cards there, the Maze being the biggest by far. I do have the Page and the Mantle, the Jackie. So got one big banger going there, and to get and it's not a secret that I'm after that card, and we'll eventually get that card. Maybe it'll be the last one, but little under 11% left on that set. 53 Bowman. Beautiful set. We know 37 out of 225 cards. That includes the black and whites, and that's at a 16.44 completion percentage. Happened to pick one up last night, thanks to Mike O. The Roy Campanella is on its way to my house forever and ever. 54 tops, 70% completion percentage, 175 out of 250. I have the Ted Williams cards. I have the Al Kaline. I have the Hank Aaron. I have the Ernie Banks. So 75 cards left there, and I'm a getting there. So that should not be too difficult to complete. 134 out of 224 for the 1954 Bowman, nearly a 60% completion percentage. I like the 54 Bowman set. It's simple, and the first cards I remember getting from the 54 Bowman set I will actually say the first card I remember is the Jim Gilliam. So I still have that card. Simplistic, kind of interesting, but I do like that set. Moving on to 55 tops, 186 out of 206. That is a 90.29% completion percentage. According to my spreadsheet, I am in need of that's a TLC set. No scrubs. I need all big cards there. Clemente, I need Williams, I need Robinson, Killebrew. So that's going to be a tough one. I've entered a break. We'll see if I have any success. But the reason I entered a break, I think I have 2 or 4 spots in that break, is because there's enough big cards in there for me to warrant entering that break, as opposed to, say, a 54 53 break, because set break, that is, because I have a lot of the big guns in those sets. So 55 again, 186 out of 206, 90.29%. On the Bowman side, I only have 96 out of 320 cards for 30%. I like the 55 Bowman as well. There's no secret there. That is because all the cars were shot at Connie Mack Stadium, and I love the field in the background. And of course, we'd say goodbye to Bowman for 30 plus years after that. So it's tops for a couple of years here. 56 tops. I have 360 out of 340 cards for a completion percentage of 105.88%. 105.88%, you say. Well, of course, we get into the graybacks and the whitebacks here. So I am not a master set builder. I am a set collector, but not a master set collector. But I just so happen, over the course of acquisitions and mergers, I've got a lot of the variations on that set. There's also some team cards, a lot of team card variations in that set. 1956 Topps team cards were the first team cards issued in a regular issue set. And I love the back of the team cards. They have the dimensions of the home stadium. Great cards, obviously, and great, just a great piece, little kernel of hobby history there with the team cards. 57, boy, do I suck. I have never been a huge fan of the 57 set, or I wasn't a huge fan of the 57 set, but I've become more and more so as time goes on. So I'm currently standing at 89 out of 407 cards. That's 21.87%. So apologies to everybody who thinks I'm a wonderful vintage collector, but 57 proves to be the exception. 1958 Topps, I have 494 out of 494 cards, 100% completion percentage. There are some variations in there, but I don't have any of them. 59, 138 out of 572 cards. So here we see Topps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, jumping up from 494 to 572. 24.13% completion on the 59 Topps. Now moving into 1960, a beautiful set. Either the first or the second Most handsome set in the 60s, depending on your tastes. 332 out of 572 cards. It's 58.04%. And that's definitely a goal to do that. I have, oddly enough, cards I should have by now. The William McCovey rookie I don't have. So maybe that's something I can cross off my list this year as I get closer to completing these sets, or that set in particular. Also moving over to 1960, Fleer pops up. 71 out of 79 cards I have in the 1960 Fleer set, 89.87%. I did pick up the Lou Gehrig, which pushes me into the 90 percentile, I believe, there. And so 72 out of 79. We can edit that in real time. Well, we'll wait because you never know. Anyway, so I'm getting there. I included that set because I think it's a brilliant set, brilliant historical set, obviously because of Fleer, even though I have the 59 Three Stooges set, and there's the 59 Ted Williams set. I think the 1960 Ted Fleer set is absolutely brilliant. So getting there on that, that's a goal to complete this year. 61, not quite up to the 1960 specs as far as quality of the set or my dedication. I have 13 out of 154 cards for 8.44%. In the 61 tops, I have 271 out of 587, so about 46% there. 62 tops is a set that has had some positive reviews. A lot of people like that set. I do not like the 62 set. I don't like the fact that there's green variations and regular. I don't like the wood. I think the wood grain is not too appealing. I don't like, it's kind of a dark set. I'm not too thrilled about it. So with that said, I have 175 out of 598, 29%. I have probably 400 or 500 duplicates of that set. I made a purchase a while back at the Philly Card Show when it was in the old place. I bought a couple mantles and I bought a bargain bin. The bargain bin contained a boatload of 62 tops, and I felt this is going to be great, awesome, love that. Turns out I bought probably 8 or 9 of each player in the first 200 cards, which is stone cold crazy, but I have a lot of those. I have a lot of duplicates from 62, way more duplicates than I have regular cards. And over there in Fleer World, we talked about that, I believe. Oh, that's 1963. I screwed that up. Anyway, 1963 tops, 227 out of 576. That's 39%. And Fleer, 9 out of 66, which is a 13.64%. So the 63 Fleer, I have Clemente and Yaz and a few others, probably Gibson. Love the work on that set because it's got some great players on it. Maury Wills rookie, of course, is in there. I think I have the Maury Wills rookie actually as well. 64 tops, 346 out of 587. That's nearly 59%. 65 tops, 1 and 2 in the best looking sets of that decade, 229 out of 598, 38.29%. 66 tops, 417 out of 598. That's nearly 70% if you're the rounding up type. And 1967 tops, 398 out of 609. That's 65.35%. So I've been warned, I've been told all that fun stuff, how difficult some of these sets are going to be to complete due to the high numbers, of course. That's why I jump around and work. Did I just make a House of Pain reference? Anyway, I do jump around, and that's why I work on all angles instead of any set in particular, because you know me, I'm all about the opportunity. Moving on to 1968, I have 600 out of 598 cards, 100 plus percentage. There's variations in there, checklists, stuff like that. A couple name colors, I believe. 1969, I have 672 out of 664. That's over 101%. Again, design, variations, and name colors and all that fun stuff. Not working on the master set, but take them as they come for sure. 1970, 723 out of 720. Again, over 100%. Checklists are a big thing there. A lot of variations on the checklists. 1971, tops, 755 out of 752. 100% plus. More variations. 795 out of 787 in the 72 tops. It's over 101%. Of course, we have some Variations with the Cubs in particular, which a lot of people don't get, because if you don't look at the 72 Cubs cards thoroughly, you won't be able to, you don't notice the extra green in the Cub logo above the tombstone. So most of those variations, or most of those 8 I have, are due to Cubs greens. So 73, I have 662 out of 60. 662 out of 660 is what he meant to say. And that is because there's a lot of managers that have issues missing ears on coaches, trees, and this and that. Salmon versus orange. Crazy. There's no reasonable explanation why the 1973 Topps manager cards are so bizarre, but they are, and easy to overlook as well. 74 Topps, 668 out of 660, over 101%. Of course, we can blame that on the Padres / Washington National League team. I need to finish up getting all of the Washington National League variations. That's another goal I have for sure. 1975, 660 out of 660, 76, 660 out of 660. Of course, 77, 660 out of 660. Now, one thing I didn't mention is 74 and 76. We have our Topps traded sets that were pack inserted, but I don't count them, as I do have the complete sets there, but I don't count them with the base, obviously. 1978, 726 out of 726. That's 100% for your boy. And 79, 727 out of 726. Of course, Bump Wills. He swung both ways there with the Blue Jays and the Rangers. So an international player that year, both sides of the border. That accounts for that variation. 1980, 727 out of 726. Fred Stanley has a different name color. So that's where we stand with that. Let's get over to football. Football, things were easy in baseball, that's for sure. Football. So football, let's talk about 54 Bowman. I have 19 out of 132. And I'm just going to do a sampling of some of these football sets, because there's a lot of wackiness that happens here. And I'll try to explain some of them. But there was a lot going on back in the 50s. So 54 Bowman, 19 out of 130. That's 14+%. 55 Topps All-Americans, 2 out of 102. That's almost 2% of the set there. 56 Topps, 79 out of 120. That's 66% of the set. 57 Topps, 54 out of 154. That's 35%. 58, 49 out of 132, 37%. 59, I have 176 out of 176. That's 100%. 1960 Topps football, 132 out of 132 for 100%. 61 Topps, 53 out of 198 for 26.77%. Now, a couple samples here. 62 football Topps, 62 Fleer AFL. I have 6 out of 88 for less than 7%. 62 Post, I have 57 out of 200 for about 28.5%. 63 Topps, 77 out of 170 for 45%. A Philadelphia set here, 1964 Philadelphia, 22 out of 198, 11%. The 64 Topps set, 19 out of 176, a little under 11%, and that's an all AFL set. So we're dealing with some stuff here in the mid-60s. 65 Topps AFL, 6 out of 176 for 3%. And 67 Philadelphia, 33 out of 198 for nearly 17%. And again, there's other sets in there. There's some Canadian sets in there, which is pretty cool, CFL sets. So Philadelphia and Fleer and Topps battling it out for supremacy in the early to mid 60s with football. There's AFL, there's NFL, there's Canadian Football League. So lots of interesting times, and football was kind of really coming on strong thanks to the Giants and the Colts, and obviously the Packers and stuff like that. Browns were great. Even the Lions were good, I hear, back then. So football was starting to make its way into America's heart. Baseball was starting to lose traction, and baseball beginning its slow decline in the other sports. Football, obviously, quicker than basketball, but the other sports rising in popularity. 68 Topps, I have 115 out of 219, 52 plus percent, 69 tops, 183 out of 263 for nearly 70%. 70 tops, 210 out of 263 for 79.85%. 71 tops, 216 out of 263 for 82%. So getting close there on my early 70s tops sets. Now, 72, we've run into issues here. I have 255 out of 351 cards for 73% completion percentage. I'm not sure how much that's going to move, because if you know anything about high numbers, 72 tops football, some of the highest numbers to get, certainly the 70s, but perhaps of any sport at any time. Love to hear more if anybody has anything on that, but that's certainly the indication I get. First thing I do when I find a pile of 72 tops football is look at the backs to see if I've struck gold, and I have not yet up to this point. 73 tops, I have 522 out of 528 for 99% completion, 74, 382 out of 528 for 72%, 75, 207 out of 528 for 39%. 76, I don't know what happened. 76, we celebrated our bicentennial. I had most of these football cards, and I sold them, or I think I sold a lot of them, a lot of cards, or in order to be more concise, starter set on eBay a while back, to my regret. And I also sold the Walter Payton rookie. So I only have 25 out of 528 for less than 5%. I'm working my way back up there. I'm sure I'll get lucky. 77, 148 out of 528 for a 28% completion percentage. I'm not sure what happened there in the mid 70s. 77, I have 148 out of 520. Nope, I'm sorry, I just did that. 78, I have 359 out of 528 for 68%. Done on the 79 tops, and 80 tops, I have 168 out of 528. So 3 vintage football sets, vintage and football. You can call that whatever you want. I'm not as stringent on that as I am with baseball, but at least 3 sets, and I should be able to complete the 73 and the 71 and the 70 by year's end, I would think, under the right circumstances. Hockey's fun. Hockey is... Let's see what's going on with hockey, because he thinks I screwed up here. So I have 70, 71, or I have, obviously hockey spans, crosses over between years. So somehow I screwed up here, but it says 71. I have 86 out of 132 for 65%. 72, it says 80 out of 132 for nearly 61%. 73, 142 out of 176 for 81%. 74, 192 out of 73 was 142 or 81%. 74, 192 out of 264 for nearly 73%. 75, 287 out of 330 for nearly 87%. And then again, 76, I go into the doldrums again. 28 out of 264 for 11%. 77 is 13 out of 264 for less than 5%. 78, 61 out of 264 for 23%. 79, 39 out of 264 for about 15%, and 80, 56 out of 264 for 21.21%. I think it's the 80-81 hockey that is probably the crappiest design I've ever seen. It's either the 80-81 or the 81-82, where you have to scratch off to find out the player's name and the team and all that stuff. I don't know what, well, I guess I do know what Topps was thinking. They had a couple baseball cards that were scratch offs too in that era, but boy, scratch offs are ridiculous. And of course, trying to grade those things, good luck for those people that do that stuff. So finally moving on to basketball, which I have in pink on my big screen here. 69, 70, I have 10 out of 99, so that's 10%. 70, I have 54 out of 175 for 30.86%. I'm going to challenge that because I might have more than that. 71, 72, I have 73 out of 233 for 31.33%. 72, I have 21 out of 264 for 8%. 73, 3 out of 264 for 1%. 0 cards from the 74-75 set. 7 from the 75-76 set out of 330 for 2.12%. 76 I have, in 76 they went big boy again, I think 65 out of 144 for 45%, 77 5 out of 132 for nearly 4%, 78 106 out of 132 for 80%, 79 3 out of 132 for 2.27%. I have exactly 1980. It says I have one card out of 176 cards for 0.57%. Now, that's not quite accurate because the way Beckett OPG counts those, they have a separate set for the panels, the three-way cards, and a separate set for the individuals. So I actually have one panel and one individual, which is a total of 4 cards. I had every one of these cards in many multiples, and I ripped them up. By the perforations and all that stuff, and then they just disappeared. So don't know where they went. Obviously, the Magic Bird and rookies with the Julius Erving leaders card is an iconic card in the hobby, not just in basketball, but yeah, I guess we can't beat ourselves up too much. Tops, I guess it would be entrapment. I mean, if you give a 12-year-old kid something to rip with perforation, which to me perforation was high tech back then I'm going to rip it. And I ripped those cards in thirds, and obviously I don't know what happened to them after that. So that's a problem. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. I'm getting there on my sets, as you can tell. Getting there real good on my sets. So happy about that. Random precision, we say, right? So again, I take them as they come. I don't really fill these sets out via eBay that often. And if you're a set builder, or I tell you what, the way I build sets is give me anything you got, with the premise that the more cards that come into my collection, I'll replace conditionally, but I don't go through my binders and seek out card 168 in particular and go to eBay or go to a store or a show to try to find that out, or try to upgrade that. But I am fortunate enough to work on or get a lot of upgrades coming my way. But I think as you go along, you get closer, you're more finicky about conditioning. So whereas my 53 top stuff, a lot of that stuff, they may be ones and twos, but I find myself looking at threes now instead of beaters. So it's an interesting way, or it's an interesting thought how we continue to build a set. We get more finicky about conditioning, and of course, as you get to the end of a set, you're going to spend more on cards to fill that set than you would if you were in the beginning phases, middle phases, or early late stages of filling that set. So condition, you get more finicky, and price wise, your arms get a little longer to dig into those pockets. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. Obviously, you just want a set to be completed, and you'll pay to make that happen. So I see that happening with my 53 Willie Mays, unfortunately, and but that's okay, and probably the 55 Clemente as well. But if you've underpaid for 3/4 of the set, then overpaying for the top 1 or 2% isn't necessarily a bad thing, because those cards are going to be what they are. They're probably not going to drop in value as time goes by, right? So paying the market price for a 53 Willie Mays probably means if you needed to, you could get that price if you were to sell down the road. So again, random precision. I'm all over the place, but that means I'm always scanning the horizon. I'm up in my air traffic control tower and watching the blips, and bringing the planes in, landing that John into my collection, and moving on and moving on. So yeah, that's just, that explains, I guess that helps explain my goal intedness a little bit better, or maybe he doesn't at all. But everybody's in play here. Everybody that I need cards for, and again, even the sets that I'm completing, I'm always going through and upgrading. The last collection I bought probably upgraded, say, the 71 tops, which is a difficult set. Probably upgraded 20 cards in there. 70 tops, probably another 20 cards in there. So 72, maybe a dozen. So that's fun, going through the binders, checking conditionings, and getting better that way. For cards that I essentially, spend about a penny on when you factor everything in. So that's that. Got to get better at surprised I'm so much better at hockey than I am at basketball, but for some reason I am. So got to get better at basketball. Got to get better at some football stuff in the mid 70s. 60s football, it's a mess. Good luck if you're going to try to tackle that. 60s baseball, high numbers, going to kill you, but keep chipping away at that. You never know what happens. So I'm going to keep going. 57 stands out to me by far. 57 at 22% and 59 at 24%. By far my weakest sets I have, or I should be doing a lot better there. So I'll keep going, keep trying. That's what it's all about, right? Keep on keeping on. And so that's it. Appreciate everybody joining me, hearing me babble about my stuff. Dean, I thank you for your inspiration. We continue to collect alike, and we'll continue to do so, I'm sure. Hey, enjoy collecting. More importantly, enjoy your collection. Be safe over the New Year holiday. I'll probably be going live once or twice. And I will see you folks on down the road. Maybe I'll play this video one more time just because I can, until they don't let me anymore. Later, folks. Thanks.